So you're warned, anything you say now can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I sometimes make a joke like that with my students too, like, now we better stop talking about all the illegal stuff. Someday could come back to haunt me. Funny, isn't it? Okay, so anything that you want to talk about, anything that you feel like you haven't, otherwise I'm just going to move on to this questions to ask your parents. The next section is life lessons and values.
Yeah, I guess it's best to go with something like that because brain probably isn't working very well today.
Yeah, well, you know, and always if something comes back like, oh yeah, like I remember this, you know, when I was little, and that's always fun, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's attached to some random thing. Oh yeah, Peter had an assignment to write the dates of his parents, grandparents, and even great-grandparents, what year they were born. They're doing like a timeline, I guess, in their little pod classroom, so that was kind of fun. I don't know how much it sank into him, but.
So you have all those dates?
Yep.
Yep, I figured you should have.
Yep. I do. Okay.
I sent a note off to Merlin Stevens, my cousin, asking him if he'd share the names of his brothers and sisters. And for reasons I don't understand, maybe the message didn't go through, or he didn't understand what I was asking, or maybe he wasn't interested in providing it. But I haven't received anything back. But there was about four brothers and sisters older than Merlin, and there was about four younger than he had. Yeah, it's a very prolific family. But Merlin's the only one I ever kept track of because he was on active duty. If I ever get that, that would fill in the void of the names of all of my first cousins.
Yeah. Well, I would just send it again because I know for a lot of people, you know, you see it and then you oh yeah, you know, I'm going to respond to that. And then like stuff comes up and then it just goes poof. Like there's somebody that I said I was going to write vote, you know, get out the vote postcards. And I can't remember, it wasn't somebody that I knew very personally. You know, I'd love to help. And like now I'm like, I don't even know I don't even know where to find the information, you know, so I would just send it again.
Yeah, I might try that.
Yeah, it sure can't hurt anyway. If he's ignoring you now and he ignores you then, it's no loss, right?
Well, the real issue is Merlin's about 85 years old. And when if he passes, I've lost all information from that family unit.
And there's nobody else besides him or his wife or anybody like that?
No.
Knows him. I'm surprised that Mary Ann doesn't know somebody who knows Merlin Stevens, who she could call up and like, oh, I see him every day.
Yeah, well.
All the people she knows from Boyd and everywhere else, you know. Anyway.
Well, she did make a lot of contacts in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh wait, but is he in Florida or something?
Well, Merlin was on active duty in the Air Force, and his last assignment was in, well, basically Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. Bellevue was a suburb of, and there's an Air Force base there, and they sold their house and moved into a retirement community, which is just across the line in Iowa. And so that's where they are right now.
If you know the name of the retirement community, I bet like if there's like a, I don't know if it's like yours where there's like an office or anything.
Well, I imagine there is, but I don't know. I have an address for him, but I don't know anymore.
A letter.
Huh?
Send him a letter.
Well, let's just send him an email.
Yeah, but if he's not checking his computer, you know, then a letter would have a better chance of getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus,
probably also feels like he's being harassed.
No, I wouldn't say that at all. I mean, you know, like honestly, getting a letter these days is such a rare treat. You know, I would think that it would just be kind of a lovely little thing. And who knows what happens to people's email.
Yeah.
also then, if he does pass before he has a chance to respond, whoever's looking through his things is going to find the letter. And
Yeah.
like, oh, look at that, a letter from his cousin, you know.
I'm not sure that his wife may have a handle on who the brothers and sisters were, but you know, some of them were older than Roger, and of course some of them are a lot younger than, probably 8 to 10 years younger than I am. So it's quite an age spread. And I don't know that his wife even was fully aware of all the brothers and sisters.
It's a lot of people to keep track of. I'm going to go plug this in before it loses its battery and just literally like going to step over there. Okay, so let's see. What about your values? I think I did ask this one already. Like it says, what is the most important thing your parents ever taught you? And what you were saying, I think, was about like the value of hard work and, you know, just making sure things are handled.
I guess so. I don't know that they taught me anything, just more by example.
Well, I think that's how most of our lessons are learned, really.
Yeah. You take care of yourself and you don't rely on a lot of other people to have to help you out. You pay your bills, you do your work, you know, and life goes on.
So here's a good one. I skipped a few because some of them we already talked about and some were kind of dumb. Like, what's the funniest thing that ever happened to you? Like, I wouldn't even know how to answer that myself, you know, but it says, what are the most important things in life?
Well, I guess family, faith, I suppose you'd have to put education in there because that provides you a living style. Ambition can be good or it can be bad. Take your pick. I think those would have to be like the top 3 or 4.
Okay. Family, faith. I forgot to ask if you remember going to church when you were little.
Sure.
We talked about that a little bit. But
yeah, we went to Sunday school every Sunday.
Yeah.
And when I was in college, most frequently when I was on campus, we went downtown to Lutheran church.
Now, I don't remember, maybe Grandma Hazel told me that your dad would cross the street if there was a Catholic walking on the other side. Is that true?
Well,
Does that make any sense?
I don't know. I don't remember ever hearing that. I do know that it was, looking for the right word, but we had a Catholic family move into the community. And it was, oh, heaven forbid, we're being invaded. It was almost like a Martian landing.
Because everybody was Lutherans, right? Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Of one type or another, yeah.
But there's even different synods in Lutheran, right? So is everybody kind of the same synod? Like everybody sort of was the same, very homogenous?
See, there was the Evangelical Lutheran.
Yeah.
There was the Missouri Lutheran. There was the Wisconsin Lutheran. And I don't know, we had one church out west of town that the Kuhlmans used to attend, and they attended a German Sunday.
Was it in German even?
Yeah. The pastor presented the sermon in German.
Okay. So that was sort of just a little question about the faith part. Oh, what do you wish you could tell your younger self? Younger is a hard one, you know, but whatever comes to mind.
I don't know. I'm not sure. In retrospect, I look back and I know that I hardened my emotions after Dad died just to survive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And in many cases, you could say I probably was insensitive or difficult to get emotionally attached to.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all business.
Right. So maybe like, would you, I don't know, would you tell your younger self, like, gosh, you know, what would you say to a young boy who's lost his dad? Like, I don't even know what you'd say.
I don't know either. You know, you just have to be prepared to be tough enough to get through all the hardships that exist.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way, you know?
I mean, you're self-motivator. You don't have anyone else to motivate you to say you ought to do good. As an example, Roger came to one basketball game. No one ever came to a football game that I played. You just went out there and did it on your own.
Yeah. Did you ever, I mean, it must have hurt to see other people's families there.
It didn't really, I don't know, maybe lack of emotion again, it didn't.
Right. It's easier just to not feel it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what you tell your younger self really then, that, yeah, just keep doing it. You're going to survive. It's going to be okay.
Right. That's how you get through it.
Nothing can take the loss away. So the next question says, how do you feel that your values have changed as you got older, if you feel like they have?
I don't know that my values have changed. I think I've been pretty straightforward all the way along, following pretty much the same sample. First night on college campus, I was shaking my head, but I said, I'm going to make this happen. I was going to get through it. So I did. After I was on active duty, and I had been in the Guard, so I had a pretty good idea what active duty was like, but I was interested in going places and seeing different situations. So I would volunteer to be off and see the world. One of my objectives was to get out of Boyd, to get above that level of lifestyle. If I hadn't gone to school, I've been stuck there doing, I don't know, working on a farm, maybe being a carpenter, doing some trade job.
Did any of your friends stay in Boyd? Or did any, maybe people that you know of, maybe not friends with? But...
Well, Denny Coleman, of course, was the valedictorian of the class, so he went off to South Dakota State with me. Ultimately got his electrical engineering degree, worked for Honeywell. Mark Olson went off to St. Louis, ultimately got his doctorate degree in chemical engineering, and not chemical, in chemistry, and worked at the Jackson, Mississippi Medical Center on cancer research. Art Craigmile was going to stay in Boyd and farm the family farm. And the young lady he married betrayed him. And so in order to get out of that situation, he went down to Minneapolis and got into the insurance business. And he was selling insurance in the daytime and working at Northwest Airline cleaning airplanes at night. Darwin Barricoler went off to the Army so he could get GI Bill to go to college. He got a degree in electrical engineering. He was working for Medtronic in Minneapolis. He and his then wife read a book on how to become a millionaire selling or owning real estate. ultimately that union broke up and he went down to Texas. And I have no idea what his worth is, but I'm sure it's in multi-millions because he's done a lot of real estate transactions.
Didn't he fly a helicopter at some point?
I know he had his own plane.
Okay.
They were looking for the utopia living style where it was dry, so the allergies and things wouldn't bother him so much. So they went out to Alpine, Texas. He was trying to manage real estate in Houston, flying back and forth between Alpine and Houston, Texas. Ultimately, he's in California now at Stevens Ranch, which is up above LA somewhere.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's up above Thousand Oaks. I guess it's east of Thousand Oaks, probably a ridgeline over or something. And then myself, so that was the top 5 in the class.
Yeah.
John Solting, the brother-in-law, went off to the Army because there were John and Ellen were on the farm and the farm couldn't support both of them. And John needed to do something different. So he went to the Army, stayed long enough to get credit for GI Bill and go to college, became an English teacher. So anyway, those, there's some of the other people stayed around Boyd. 2 of the kids that went to Brookings with Danny and I, one ultimately, and I don't know how he developed all this, but he became a banker out in South Dakota. And the other guy that I'm thinking of became a tape or adhesive salesman in the Minneapolis region. The adhesive sales guy was doing relatively well, except he had died of alcoholism. The banker died from cancer. The rest of the crowd, I don't know. I think most of them stayed around the community.
Oh, what happened to Craig Miles' farm?
I think it was sold. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think they sold it.
And then, I mean, he and Wilma, they moved to, was it in Minnesota or Wisconsin? Somewhere kind of in the middle of nowhere, like very peaceful and quiet.
Well, they moved up after he, if you will, retired and sold or gave the business to Andy. He moved up to Mille Lacs Lakes, Isle, Minnesota, which is a little suburb on the south end of the lake. I think it's about 600, 700 people.
Okay.
And he bought a lot of swampland up there, which I guess is becoming some good real estate for hunters and other things that he can sell off partials.
Yeah.
When he was buying it, everyone was scratching their head trying to figure out what he's spending his money on. But so he likes.
Oh, surprise. Probably a lot of mosquitoes up there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember you had land in South Dakota, didn't you?
We had a piece of property in Rapid City. Well, it wasn't in Rapid City, it was above Black Hawk, which is if you think of the Black Hills, basically running a north and south ridge line. Rapid City is on the east side of that ridge line down in a draw. And the interstate comes in from the east, drops down into Rapid City, and then does a right-hand turn and goes north along the ridge, along the edge of the Black Hills. And Black Hawk is about 8 miles outside of Rapid City. So you get to Black Hawk and then you go up on the top of the ridge line. And we had the house in Rapid City, of course, but we also bought that piece of property. Would have loved to have had a home out there, but that was also the year of bypass surgery, and they were having difficulty with water distribution up there because all the all the ditches had to be blasted because it was all rock. So it was always a problem with water. And I was fortunate enough to have someone else be interested in buying it.
I remember you used to talk about, I mean, I don't remember when this was, but like having deer come eat out of our hands or something that we would, I don't know. I just have that little blip memory. I don't know if that would, I don't think it ever really happened, but the idea that there would be deer coming down to the yard or something.
Not to the best of my knowledge.
So how did your values change as you got older? Oh, here's a good one. Well, and I think you maybe kind of answered this, but what were you most wrong about?
I'm not sure I can come up with an idea there. Not that I was always right, but I can't remember what I was most wrong.
Well, and it doesn't need to be like actually like factually wrong about anything, but even like about an approach. So it seems like that maybe, being emotionally distant was a survival strategy, but it may also have cost you some things too.
Well, yeah, it probably did. And it wasn't necessarily by choice, but I probably was, in high school as an example, same with more less in college, but there was some very good friends and the rest of them I didn't give two hoots about. And that was very obvious to both of us. I don't know that I'd ever want to change that because I really wouldn't want the close friends to a couple of those guys.
Okay. The next one says, what was your parenting philosophy? I don't know that, I couldn't even say that I have a philosophy of parenting, but that's what the question says.
The only thing I can think of is you have to be involved, you have to show love, you have to be caring and have interactions with the kids. The bicycles as an example that you remember. Jeff being out in the front yard in North Carolina helping me mow the lawn. Just stuff like that. We used to go to Carowinds, which you don't remember the
was it an amusement park?
Yeah, the amusement park.
Oh, I think I have some memories of, I certainly remember amusement parks. I remember begging, I don't know if I remember this because I've heard this story or if I remember it, but begging to go on a ride.
Probably.
Probably.
All I know is that one time we were there, it was raining, water was dripping off the ends of my sleeve. And I said something about, are we having fun now? One of the other events was when I think you was riding on my back down the slide and we hit the stilling pond and my swimming suit came loose on the bottom and I wound up with a raspberry on my left hip, about the size of a grapefruit.
Yikes. Was it one of those concrete bottom pools probably? Yeah. Ouch.
And I don't know if you remember going to Wilmington and sleeping in the back of the truck, and it was raining out all the time. So
yeah,
we didn't get to do much except sit in the truck and watch the rain fall.
I have a memory of camping somewhere too, but I don't know where or if it's even real, but like in a little, it seemed like it was in sort of a depression somewhere. I can't think like if there was a little pond in there or if it was just kind of a little sort of like hollowed out space with maybe rock around the backside or something. Yeah, like I don't like red, the dirt being kind of red, like that's about it that I remember, but I remember being out somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. The next one says, what is the, as if there's just one, what is the happiest moment of your life?
Well, there was a number of them. One, graduating from college.
Mm-hmm.
Two, getting my professional engineer license. Marrying.
Passing a test, or was that something else?
Yeah, it was 8 hours of exam, 16
Okay.
hours of exam.
Mm-hmm.
Well, graduated from graduate school. I don't know if I mentioned that. That certainly was a high point,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just graduated from college period, at which I mentioned. That was a just the initial bachelor's degree with a bar that I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to get over.
Mm-hmm.
And Marianne, which has kept me on the straight and narrow for 40 plus years.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think somewhere up here too that maybe we already went through, but I don't remember, but it asked about like wedding. What's your strongest memory from your wedding day? Or anything you remember from that day of getting married to Marianne?
Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but the problem was that your brother had problems going to the bathroom. He would hold it, and then he had a big accident.
Oh yeah.
And Craig Miles had to clean it up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That happened on the wedding day?
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea. And was he already like dressed in his little outfit and stuff?
Well, I guess the party had been over and he went back to the Craig Miles house, but he
Oh,
refused to go to the bathroom. And
yeah.
then he had held it so long it just gave away. But he had done the same thing. And you may not remember this, but we were staying at the Larsons. I guess I had come home for the Christmas or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a movie together, and you kids had ran ahead, and we walked into the movie theater, and goodness gracious, what an odor. Couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Well, after the movie was over, found out where it was coming from. And so when we got home, we put Jeff in the garage with me and took all his clothes off and tried to wipe him down the best we could. To a degree it was
pooping or peeing?
Pardon?
He pooped or he peed?
He pooped.
Oh.
Crapped in his pants.
Yeah.
And he was like, what, 8 years old, 7 years old? He's old enough to know better.
Yeah, but a lot of times that's a psychological thing. It's not, it's not about, there's all kinds of reasons for that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's sticking up. I'm sure it's not attached to the happiest memory of your life, but it did stick up as something that happened on your wedding day. What about the wedding itself or anything, like anything else besides poor Jeff pooping his pants?
Well, we met some folks we hadn't seen for a number of years. Peggy Klingenhagen was a member of the church, and she saw the name Stevens getting married. She didn't know who it was, but she was coming anyway. Winds up being my first cousin.
That's great. How are you first cousins with the Klingenhagen?
Well, her name was Stevens, Claude, and
okay.
And Vi Stevens.
And you guys got married in Mankato?
No, we got married in Minneapolis.
Okay. Was it a church that Marianne had already gone to?
Well, no. The pastor at that church had been in Mankato, and Marianne had been on the church council in Mankato. And I don't know if she'd been on the call committee when he was called, but anyway, that was a relationship. And she didn't want to get married in Mankato because there was no end to who should be invited. You can imagine the number of students. And so anyway, it was in Minneapolis, and family primarily on both sides. that were
Was
invited.
Uncle Roger there?
No, he was in I guess he was living in Arkansas at the time, but he said being he wasn't going to be in the wedding, he didn't see any reason to attend.
Was that a dig, or was that just him like being honest? I mean, what did he expect to be in the wedding, or was he just
No,
like,
no.
huh?
Art was my best man,
Yeah.
and so anyway, that's how it was.
Huh.
Joan, I just have to add, I just overheard a little bit of it. I'm doing stuff in the kitchen. But one of the reasons I didn't want to get married in Mankato was all my students wanted to come.
Yeah.
And we did not want a big wedding.
Right.
And so we thought, and then Andy Jensen, who was our pastor who married us, had been the associate pastor in the church where I had been attending and served on the church council and call committee. No, I wasn't on the call committee there. Yes, I was too. Yeah, call committee for a new pastor. But anyway, then Andy moved to a church in Bloomington or Burnsville. I can't remember which.
I think it's Burnsville.
Yeah. So then he and Mary, because Mary, his wife, and I used to do kind of workshops or seminars on, she had written a bunch of books, and on, she had me go along to speak on the bereaved when, like, I had lost my first husband, and so she, and they knew him, of course, and so she and I did all these talks together on bereavement and all that. But anyway, it was, I mean, all my, because I had all senior high kids, and they were AP classes mostly, and really good kids. And they all thought they should come to my wedding. So I thought, no.
I would imagine, and I don't know if you guys did this, like where the bride's family and the groom's family are on different sides of the church, but it sounds like the bride's family side would have been pretty packed.
Yeah.
The family had like Grandma Hazel and.
Well, the other half of that is after a wedding, and we had a reception.
Yeah.
And so if the church is full, you can go, you're not invited. You can go, you're not invited. So we'd have to feed the entire town of Mankato.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why we,
Potluck.
yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't remember the wedding reception. Did we go? Me and Jeff?
Yes,
yeah,
you
yeah.
were there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got pictures, and you'll get those pictures.
I mean, I remember the pictures. I think I still have the corsage.
Yeah, and you went to a hairdresser in the morning, got your hair
Yeah, and
done.
I got like a Grandma Hazel kind of bouffant-y thing.
Yeah,
And I had that blue dress on. And in my brain, I wore that with socks and like red tie-up or like rust-colored burgundy like sneakers. But I probably didn't wear that for the wedding, though.
No, I don't remember.
I had, like,
You look nice, very nice, whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, Marian, what do you remember from the wedding besides some of that you were just mentioning?
Well, I didn't hear most of that, I think, but well, I mean, to me, it was important for that wedding for our immediate families to be there, and all of my sisters and brothers were there. And probably because way back when I had dated Roger.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that part.
Yeah, yeah, and but he wasn't there.
Oh, this is good then, huh?
Yeah.
Was he grumpy like about it, or he was just like, well, I'm not in the wedding, so why would I go? I mean,
I don't know that he's grumpy. I think, I don't know.
I mean, I think probably that wasn't important to him anyway. I mean, attending weddings and things that he.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but anyway, but the important ones of our family. In fact, I just found the guest list now that all of you had signed.
Right.
And Fern was there.
Uh-huh.
And Peggy Clemenhagen.
That's who Papa was just mentioning, yeah.
Yeah.
She just like randomly showed up because she saw it was a Stevens.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right.
And the
Well, one of the family, Dick and
Sue Beckman, yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. One of his college buddies.
Was Merlin Stevens there?
No, we didn't. We just made it a small thing.
I was just telling Dad that I would imagine with the Marianne Network, somebody must know how to get in touch with Merlin Stevens. I mean, come on. He's like, we just don't know how to get a hold of him.
Well, I know how to get a hold of him.
Oh yeah, we get a Christmas card every year, and we exchange cards, and he's on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And because he was a private pilot for somebody in Decatur or a relative in Decatur, he came here several times.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So, and one of the times was when your dad had just come home from the hospital. What had you had been?
Yeah, I don't know if it was back surgery or hip surgery. And Merlin was in Decatur, so we went over and got him. And
He stayed with us then for a couple of days.
he said, well, why didn't you tell me? I said, well, if I would have told you I just got home from surgery, you wouldn't have come over to the house.
But he had the same surgery, and so I told him he was a good nurse. See?
Well, I know that he had hip surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, he had both hips done at some time or another. One of the tales that go along with that side issue, he was in the Gulf fishing with one of his brothers on a charter boat, and he turned his body, and the implant broke out of the bone.
Oh. And
projected down. It came out of his skin, and he passed out.
Good, he passed out.
I would too.
Oh, wow, this is not supposed to happen.
I know. Anyway.
So when he travels, does he bring his wife with, or does she just stay home?
Well, he was hired by, he
was a charter pilot.
And so it was family that he was hauling here and there. And
yeah.
So, but she did come. Wasn't she at our house one time? Oh.
Yeah,
well, where did I meet her?
Well, you may have, don't remember where, but one of the issues, she had increased in size to the point that she literally wouldn't fit in the airplane seat.
That would make it difficult.
Yeah. So even if there was an extra seat on the plane, it wouldn't have been a comfortable trip for her.
Yeah.
But they did come to visit us once in one of our houses, I think on Walina. I know I met her one time. Anyway.
I don't recall.
So the next question is a little bit cheesy, but it says, are there any sayings that ring true for you?
Sayings?
Yeah, like quotes or sayings.
I don't think so. Now, Marianne may.
Like prepare or hope for the best, prepare for the worst, which somebody's like, that's the Boy Scout model. Like, I don't care. I think it's just a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can give you the old Ranger one. Things can always get worse than they usually do.
Uh-huh.
But you have to understand the climate to which that phrase is used.
Uh-huh. Okay, the next one asks about family tree. And I think some of these questions I've already asked you. What did your family do to celebrate holidays?
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Well, we had the Anderson side, mother's side had Christmas gatherings every year, usually for Easter, Thanksgiving, and I mean, there was no Stevens side of the family celebrations for the holidays.
Because they were all scattered all over, yeah.
And they didn't stay in touch either, right?
Not really.
Yeah. So did you like switch off to people's houses, or was it at your grandparents' house, or?
Well, I know that most of the years when I was much younger, we tried to do it at Grandma's house. After that, it was kind of a rotation. some of the houses weren't big enough to have handle everybody, as example, until later in life. Curly and Lily, well, we had celebrations out there too. It was kind of close quarters, but everyone got along.
At the farm, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually birthdays and holidays, there's gatherings.
Mm-hmm. Big birthdays or even like kid birthdays and stuff?
Kid birthdays, everybody's birthday.
Everybody's birthdays, yeah, our family did the same thing.
Yeah.
all the time.
And like barbecues, like inside, I guess it depended on the season, right? Or was it always like the women would be cooking and the men would sit around? I mean,
Oh yeah, in my case, the women did the cooking. I mean, there were lots of casseroles and lots of big
Yeah.
salads and, you know.
I used to get so upset with Mother because it was, well, we didn't have turkey that often, but whatever we were having, if we're having ham as an example, well, we have to have fried chicken because Uncle Curly doesn't like ham. And we're going to have yams with the ham, but somebody doesn't like yams, so we have to have mashed potatoes. And so there always had to be at least one or two alternatives to the main dishes that she's preparing. Yeah, because someone didn't like that, so
right.
we had to have more of something else.
Uh-huh. That's a lot of food.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of time in the kitchen to get all that stuff done. Yeah.
And then after all the eating was done, the guys would go somewhere else and the ladies would sit around the dining room table and keep eating.
And somebody would do the dishes. I'm sure it wasn't the kids.
Well, maybe they did the dishes later, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. And then it says, tell me the story of each of your kids' births.
Well, I think you heard the story about yours early enough. On Christmas Eve, we were going to have a little social at our house. And of course, your mother was in the hospital out in Ellsworth Air Force Base. So I invited my college roommate to stay at the house, which he did, and invited people in while I went out to the hospital. And,
so was I early or something, or you just,
it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like, was I, because usually they give you a little bit of a range of like, oh, your due date is, this.
Well, I don't know that we knew it was on or about, but I don't know that we had a specific time. It just happened. Matter of fact, I think Renee was in labor for a number of hours. And for Jeff's birth, it was done at the Rapid City Hospital, and was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly when we went to the hospital. But anyway, wait, hang on. Yes. I'm doing fine, Nathan. I appreciate the call back. Right now I'm Zooming with my daughter out in California. Are you going to be in the office for a while, or are you about ready to wrap it up? Well, let's call on Monday because that'll give us more time to free to talk about worldly things and whatever information you need to learn about me. Give me a time. That'll work fine. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nathan. Bye. Okay.
Okie doke.
We had a investment account with the United Services Automobile Association, the company that everyone has insurance with. Well, they sold that piece of the business to Schwab. And so in the process of transitioning, changing over client transfer, this guy in Birmingham sent me a note on Wednesday asking to have an appointment time to call and bring him up to speed on what our objectives were. So anyway, that's what he was calling about. So now we're going to do it on Monday at 9:30.
Okay. Anyway, we're about at our time also.
Yeah, I think so.
I need a break.
Yeah.
Water. Put your feet up.
Okay.
Okay, love you, Papa.
Bye-bye. Love you.
Bye-bye.